In order for gold leaf to adhere to a surface, you need to have an adhesive. When applying gold leaf to paper, we use a water-based sizing. We use a water-based sizing because when it dries, it's going to be flexible. This brand works well with paper surfaces. This sizing had a yellow ochre pigment added to it. The base tone is going to have a subtle influence on the applied gold leaf. There are other sizings available with different colors. The only other color I have used besides yellow ochre is red, and the results were very similar. This brush is used for applying the sizing. Since the size is acrylic, it dries super fast, and it's a good idea to wash your brush fairly frequently so that way that the size doesn't dry and damage the brush to the point where it would be unusable. I prefer using a firmer brush to apply the size. It makes it easier to move the sizing around on the paper. Here I have my soft stable brush. This brush is used to brush away the excess gold that is not adhered to the surface. You want to use a soft brush for this because anything firmer could wipe away the gold that is already adhered to your finished product, and it could possibly leave scratches or marks that you wouldn't want. The gold leaf we used in this piece was 23 karat rose tinted leaf. Gold leaf that is 23 carats or above is safe from tarnishing, and therefore you won't need to seal it after it's applied. The sheets I used came in 3 by 3 inch squares. I'll cut down my sheets into very small sections so that way the leaf would be easier to apply for my usage. I found this made it a lot more manageable and helped me cut down on waste. For the next section of the video, I will detail the steps I had taken in the application of the leaf. The narration will follow the top left of the screen while the video on the right is a time-lapse of the leaf being applied to the drawing with the gold leaf. The time-lapse took about 2 hours of real time. In the top left of the screen, I'm applying the sizing with a firm brush. The objective is to lay an even layer of sizing so that once it dries to the point of being tacky, I can apply the gold leaf. I have found that thin applications of sizing can be a bit problematic. There have been thin layers that had dried faster in sections, so that when I applied the leaf, there were sections of sizing that had already dried to the point where it could not adhere. The amount I am applying to the top left of the video is the same amount applied throughout the drawing. Here I am letting the size dry until it is tacky to the touch. You don't want the size to be wet when applying the gold leaf. You run the risk of the leaf moving and tearing, with the possible result of seeing exposed size. Here we begin applying the leaf. I have the leaf cut to the approximate size I need for the area that I have covered with the size. We set the leaf down on top of the sides and tap it with the lightest pressure. The size will hold it in place. Next, we take our soft stable brush and push down lightly on the leaf to make sure that the leaf is making contact on all areas of the sizing. If you miss an area while brushing the leaf lightly to the sizing, you risk the leaf not adhering to that section. Once you brush the area, let the leaf sit for 1 to 2 minutes, while the sizing continues to dry. To remove the section of leaf that is not adhered, I use a piece of paper to slide under the thin paper the leaf is attached to. Once I have a handle on the paper, I move to pull it in a shearing motion to keep as much of the leaf on the thin paper as possible. The leaf that remains on the thin paper is still usable. Here I am now beginning to pull off the excess leaf that did not attach to the paper. I use the sable to brush around the area of the sizing to remove the extra leaf. You can see that I am trying to remove large sections of extra leaf very carefully. I will attempt later on to reuse these sections. Here is the finished section. These are the steps I take in applying gold leaf to paper. I will demonstrate this one more time with the smaller section above, and in it I will try to apply the loose leaf from the previous application. In this section, I am applying a little bit more sizing. I will do my best to make sure the coat is as even as possible. After a minute of letting the size dry, I'm going to demonstrate a way to test the sizing to see if it is still too wet or if it is just right. I take a piece of paper and lightly press it onto the surface of the size. If any sizing is on the paper, then that means it is still too wet. You can see how much of the sizing was on that test paper, so I will leave it alone for a little less than a minute before testing again. Here I am taking some of the loose pieces of gold leaf and gently setting them on top of the tacky size. I am being very careful not to crease or crumple the leaf while I am setting it on top. This can be tricky, so if you aren't comfortable with this technique, then I would refrain from trying it on your own work in progress and practice it on a separate piece of paper. Once I have the leaf set on top of the sizing, I will very gently push it on with the sable. Since I don't have the thin paper resting on top of the leaf, I have to be even more delicate with my brushwork so that I don't damage the leaf while I am applying it. Using the section of gold leaf from our previous application, I will place a part of the leaf on top of the exposed sizing and shear it off. The remaining gold leaf can either be saved or discarded after you finish the session of gilding. I have a small container for a loose leaf that I don't have a purpose for yet, but it is kinda nice to have a container of gold. The leaf on my first application is fully dry now, and I can use more pressure to wipe away any tiny edges of gold that remain. I have very carefully removed the excess gold off of our more recently gilded section. Though both of these appear to be finished, it takes about 20 minutes for the sizing to completely dry underneath. If you want to be extra safe, you can wait an hour. At this time, I will draw around the leaf with the 6B charcoal pencil. Working around the leaf is not an issue with the 6B. You cannot draw on top of the leaf since the areas of gold leaf won't hold any charcoal. At about 8.5 minutes, I will demonstrate the usage of a white pastel pencil. Working around the gold leaf with the white pastel pencil is no different than working with the 6B charcoal pencil. The main difference I notice between charcoal and pastel is that if you graze the surface of the leaf with the pastel, it will kind of mute the sheen of the gold leaf. There might be an instance where this could be useful. I did not explore that option, however. Additionally, charcoal and pastel dust that falls onto the leaf does not do any damage to the leaf or affect its sheen. At this point, we have about wrapped up the demo. The video on the right shows me applying leaf to the drawing I was working on. That process took about 2 hours for a large area of leaf to be covered. I am hoping that there might be some nuggets of information for you watching me apply leaf in a real-life setting. So this concludes our first video tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below. Thank you for hanging out, and I will see you in the next video.